What is going on, everybody? AHS Rules. Back again with another video. So we're here for another retro review, this time around of Ring of Honor Tag Title Classic 2. The past couple of weeks we've been discussing the events that lead to Ring of Honor Final Battle 2010, which we have right here. This will be next week's review. But before we get to that, we got to discuss the event that preceded it. Tag Title Classic 2 from Plymouth, Massachusetts. There's the back. Here's the front. I also want to show great appreciation right off the start. I like the DVD covers that have the main event matchup, or any matchup in general, the main event matchup in a face-to-face standoff position, because they had to actually take this picture. You very rarely see the behind the scenes of that, because most of the time it's edited for DVD covers or pay-per-view posters. So I always enjoy DVD covers like this. But you got a big matchup right here. Kings of Wrestling versus American Wolves. But we've got a lot to get through because that's the main event. So let's go ahead and get started with this review. Tag Title Classic 2. Kenny King takes on Adam Cole in our opening contest. King taunts the crowd with a Yankees hat because we're in Red Sox country. Cole hits a dive to the outside early, and then while on the outside, King pushes him into the barricade. Cole reverses a spin kick into a roll-up once they're back in the ring, with the two exchanging roll-ups for most of the matchup at this point. Cole is able to land a super kick and a German suplex that gets a 2 count, and then he attempts a crossbody off of the top rope, but Kenny King catches him and ends the matchup with a royal flush. Kind of a precursor to Final Battle, as the two will be competing in a tag team match, Future Shock versus the All Night Express. Next matchup sees Mike Bennett taking on Colt Cabana. There's no code of honor unless you count the handshake between Colt Cabana and referee Paul Turner. Most of the early portion of this match sees Bennett avoiding Cabana into a brutal Bob Evans distraction, gives him that advantage. Cabana starts a comeback, including a flying apple in the corner and applying the Billy Goat's curse, but another brutal Bob Evans distraction afterwards leads to a Bennett roll-up and victory. Very little anything in this match. Now, for the past couple weeks, we've been discussing the Andy Ridge Trial Series, and we're here for the fifth and final of those matches. This match being Andy Ridge taking on Andy Right Leg Ridge. Let me correct myself. Taking on the television champion, Christopher Daniels. The right leg has little use early as Daniels targets it. Then the two exchange headlocks for early portion of the match. Ridge starts to power up with, obviously, his kicks from his right leg, including a super kick, but cannot get the pinfall afterwards as Daniels goes to the outside. Once they're back in the ring, Daniels is able to hit the Angel's Wings to pick up the victory, and Ridge goes 0-5 in his own trial series. Kevin Steen and Steve Corino take on the Briscoe brothers next, as we get an immediate start with all four Brong on the outside before the bell even rings. The first two legal competitors in the match being Jay Briscoe and Kevin Steen. We get a slingshot into a lariat by Steen and Corino, and then the referee's back is turned with Kevin even biting at Jay Briscoe. Later, we get a Corino lariat and Steen cannonball in the corner that gets a 2 count. Then Mark tags in to bring in Redneck Kung Fu and a dive to both opponents on the outside. Steen follows this up with a pop-up powerbomb and a neckbreaker in the ring to Mark. We get a Death Valley driver and a Froggy Bow by the Briscoes, but it does not do it because Corino kicks out. And then Steen comes back into the ring to stop the Doomsday Device from happening, delivering a low blow to Jay Briscoe while the referee's back is turned again, and delivering a package pile driver to Mark Briscoe as he picks up a big victory before his big matchup at Final Battle. So this was a good matchup. This is the start of the good. The Andy Ridge match was a match. The Mike Bennett Colt Cabana match, nothing much happened there, but we're really picking up on this show, as this big victory by Steen was followed by a matchup with his Final Battle opponent, El Generico. Because the next matchup is a 4-corner survival match. Rhett Titus taking on Ricky Reyes, Grizzly Redwood, and El Generico. Redwood and Reyes start the match off, but after a series of roll-ups by Redwood, both tag out, with Generico bringing a lot of aggression and going after Rhett Titus until both have to tag back out. Rhett and Reyes double team on Redwood into a Hurricane Rana, leads to Generico being tagged back in, and we get lots of clotheslines to Rhett and Reyes by him, and a split-legged moonsault to the outside onto both as well, where Redwood dive onto all three of them soon afterwards. Redwood gives a tornado DDT to Reyes once they're back in the ring, but does not know that Generico tagged back in to be the legal man, and he is hit with a Yakuza kick and a brain buster, with El Generico also picking up a big victory before his big final battle matchup, but that matchup might not happen. Because afterwards, Generico seems like he's going to attack Grizzly Redwood, but Steve Corino comes out to stop him and says that all of this has gone too far. He kind of wants it to stop. He doesn't want to risk himself and Kevin Steen's Ring of Honor careers because they need it. They need it. And they could all have the stop now if Generico just hands over his mask and they can all move on. That doesn't happen. We're getting Kevin Steen and El Generico at Final Battle because El Generico gives Steve Corino a Yakuza kick. It would be crazy. It would be crazy that the night before Final Battle, you know what? I'm going to take that back because it's legitimately happened. It was not the night before, but it was like 2 nights before. The Final Battle main event like changed. Final Battle 2021, if you don't know off the top of your head. But there's also like talk around this time period that the like proper Final Battle main event was the Ring of Honor World title match, but a lot of fans were not having that because Steen and Generico's story had been going for a year because Steen turned on Generico at Final Battle 2009. So there's a lot to discuss there. I guess we'll get to it in next week's review. Let's put it that way. Next matchup sees TJ Perkins taking on Kyle O'Reilly. I remember these two had a matchup in PWG in 2013. It might have been in the Battle of Los Angeles that year. If not, it was around that same time period. And so I'm going to have to go back and look at that match and see the similarities. Because I feel, that match would obviously be like 3 years later, but I feel like there's a little bit of similarities in both matchups. But this matchup sees a technical matchup start between the two men into a butterfly suplex by O'Reilly. We get double knees in the corner by Perkins with double kicks by both men afterwards. We get a series of pinfalls by both men as well, and then we get more kicks by Kyle. Kyle runs up to apply a triangle choke, but is followed by elbows by Perkins. When they're both back on their feet, Perkins hits a kick and a Michinoku driver that gets a 2 count, and then O'Reilly tries to attempt an armbar, but is turned to a Perkins roll-up and a victory for TJ Perkins. Next matchup. See Sonjay Dutt take on Roderick Strong. We get no code of honor again. We get early springboards by Sonjay and a corner tarantula by him as well. And then Sonjay keeps Truth Martini from getting involved by giving him a drop kick and then diving onto both him and Roddy on the outside. Roderick retaliates in the ring with several chops. Sonjay hits a cutter and a super kick but misses on his top rope maneuver. And Roderick follows us up with a backbreaker for a 2 count. We get several forearms by Roddy, several roll-ups by Dutt, but none of that ends it. What does end the match is the end of Heartache by Roderick, as he picks up a victory before his world title match at Final Battle. So now we're here for the main event. This is a good event overall. Spoiler, I can't even say spoiler because we discussed 7 of the 8 matches already. This is a good event overall, but this matchup was the best of them all. The first time dream matchup, the Kings of Wrestling defending their tag team championships against the American Wolves. A matchup, if you would have went into 2010, you probably wouldn't have thought you would have saw it because both sides were managed by Shane Hagador, but slowly but surely throughout the year, the American Wolves were ready to split, and they did split away from Shane Hagador, but not from each other. Now, this is kind of in the era where they're both worried about singles titles. Edwards' television title reign just came to an end, but Davey Richards has the Ring of Honor World title matchup the next night. So can these two work together to win the tag team titles? Once again, we're about to find out. Kings of Wrestling versus American Wolves in the Tag Title Classic 2 main event. We get no code of honor as Davey and Claudio start the matchup off, but we get frequent tags early. We get uppercuts by Claudio and chops by Eddie. Eddie is then trapped in the King's corner until he hits a Hurricane Rana to tag out, and we get several kicks by Davey once he is the legal man. Davey's drop kick is turned to a Claudio swing and drop kick by Hero. We get many uppercuts by Claudio and many kicks by Davey until Claudio turns one of them into a single-legged swing and a Boston Crab. Afterwards, Edwards is back in with a crossbody and a single-leg Boston Crab as well, which should be extra effective because he's from the area. Later dual kicks by the Wolves and dives to the outside both men as well. We get a double stomp by Edwards and a kick by Davey in the ring that gets a 2 count. We get a pop-up uppercut on Edwards with Davey breaking up the pinfall afterwards. And we get many kicks to Claudio by Davey. Richards attempts a handspring, which I tried to film this earlier. I kept saying head spring. I said head spring like 5 times in a row. I'm giving y'all behind the scenes look. A handspring. And again, I had to restart because this is the most impressive part of the match. Richards attempts a handspring, but it's caught with a UFO by Claudio, with Hero coming in to break up the ankle lock by Davey soon after. We get a suplex by Claudio with a Hero moonsault afterwards that only gets a 2 count as Edwards breaks up the pinfall. We get a forearm and kick exchange by Davey and Hero. We get a pair of elbows to both Wolf by Hero, but it only gets a 2 count. Then Hero eventually banks it to the bottom rope after being put in an Achilles lock by Edwards. We get a spinning elbow by Hero, but that does not end it. Only gets a 2 count. He tries to hit another one, but is hit with a roll-up by Edwards, and then they're both back on their feet with Hero landing not 1, not 2, but 3 elbows with the pad down, and that ends the matchup, and the Kings reign supreme. So, very good matchup for a very good event and a great predecessor to next week's review of Final Battle 2010. I've been talking about it for weeks and weeks. We'll finally get to it next week. And I did not say it at all in this video. I'll say it at the very end. Final Battle 2010 review, same week as Final Battle 2025. I try to work it out that way on purpose, obviously. So, overall, I enjoyed this event. And if you can find it or find the main event specifically, it's worth your watch, in my opinion. So, I tried to film this video several times. It is a holiday week. It is a crazy week. My hair kind of looks crazier than normal. It is what it is. So, I'm not going to keep y'all any longer than I have to. I appreciate y'all for watching, though. I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Stay safe, and I'm out for now. Goodbye.